Once again, it's still 6 days out, so there's could be some changes between now and then, but this is the overall general just pattern flip that's coming here shortly. So starting off with this graphic here, this is the 500 millibar general height pattern. Once again, this is where, as we mentioned with severe weather, the same thing goes for just in any weather in general. This is the upper, just a quick little brief overview of the upper air pattern of what we're currently seeing right now, and really this is what's leading to a dry rest of the week that we have in store across southwest Arkansas. You have a few high pressure systems located over portions of the country, a low pressure system over here in the blue colored area by the northeast or eastern portion of the country. Then off over here in the northwest, you have another low pressure system. But as we go, this is valid by Saturday at 7 a.m. This is using the GFS model here as well. But as we go into Monday, that changes. We have a low pressure system coming our way with some colder air, the first of many colder air shots that we're going to see throughout this upcoming time frame. Now, real quickly, we're going to go over some experimental graphics that the Climate Prediction Center from the National Weather Service puts out. You've probably already seen them today, but I do want to explain them. I do want to explain these are experimental. So what that means is, while they're good, this is signals basically towards what could come as we go later into this time frame. Now, these things may change. I've seen these end up not doing what it says it's going to do, but I've also seen them say that do what it says it's going to do. But once again, just remember these are some experimental graphics. But first, starting off actually with the Climate Prediction Center outlook that backs pretty much what we've been talking about. The next 8 to 14 days, this is the temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center from January 7th through the 13th. This was issued today, and as you can see, Arkansas is somewhere in there, but over the eastern portion of the country, including Arkansas, there's a pretty good chance we see below average temperatures. What this means is basically the darker that color, either blue or orange, is the higher chance or probability that you see below average temperatures or above average temperatures. The orange and red colors are your above average temperatures. Your blue, purple colors are your below average temperatures. I do want to mention right off the bat, this upcoming pattern does resemble a lot of like what we've seen previously, like in January of this year, 2023, 2022, just the recent colder air events that we've had. This is kind of resembles that sort of general pattern that we've been seeing with those is what we're seeing now in the early phases of this. Now, coming up next, these are the experimental graphics. This is the risk of hazardous temperatures. This is the experimental graphic. Once again, it shows that, hey, through the 7th and 12th, there's a chance that we could see some cold, really cold air. That's what it's getting at, is some really cold air could be possible there. For that, it looks like a moderate chance really across Arkansas there as well. Then this is something that I'm sure you've seen a bunch of times already. This is the risk of heavy snow. This comes from the Climate Prediction Center of the National Weather Service. Once again, this is an experimental graphic. So one thing to take with this is this could change and probably will change some, but it's for the National Weather Service to put this out there. There's a signal there that they feel worth mentioning that, hey, that there's a slight risk for the chance of maybe some heavy snow between January the 7th and 13th, that time frame. Now, once again, we're not going to go into full exact details on how much you could see what all this stuff is until we get a little closer, because it's still we're still in 2024. Let's give it some time and see how this evolves before we go into accumulation and all that. Just know that, hey, heads up, there's signals that we could see some winter weather potentially down the road. Now, real quickly, I do want to show you what data is showing for Sunday, because there is a lot of this is a complex pattern change up and coming, a complex forecast up and coming as well. I do want to show you though this. Kid you not, I had this actually set on the right thing a minute ago and it switched it for me. But taking a quick look here at the GFS model, we're going to take the look at the European model and the GFS model, what it's showing for the Sunday time frame. Now, I do want to heed caution here. You're going to see some winter weather, but we'll see what happens with data. There's two ways this can go, and I want to explain this. But real quickly, let's show you what's going to happen throughout the rest of this week. Really, there's not going to be a whole lot. Once again, you can see here for the most part throughout this week, we're seeing dry conditions, and temperatures tomorrow or starting tomorrow are going to be down into the 50s. We have a drier cold front that comes through and puts us back to normal for this time of year. And as you see, really not a whole lot going on. Maybe some, really not a whole lot going on there throughout this weekend. This is as of Saturday. You'll see here that coming off in the Oklahoma, Texas area, there'll be a low pressure system over here in this general area. And as that moves towards us, if I can get this to work, you'll see here, now just bear with me here, you'll see that this is wanting to show that there could be some winter weather somewhere and some rainfall. The main thing I want to get across right now with this, and we posted this earlier, depending on the track of this low pressure system, if it goes further south, that puts us potentially more on the colder air side of this system. If that low pressure system goes a little further north, that puts us in the more heavy or more just general rain chance, and cold rain, maybe some thunderstorms, stuff of that nature. Now, right now, this GFS model, I'm hoping, is a one-off model run and not a trend. I'll show you what the European model is showing, because this would have some of us seeing freezing rain over portions of Arkansas. Not snow, but freezing rain if that model is right. But if we back this up, I do want to back this up and show you. Let's see here. That is the 147 time frame. Give me just 1 second here. Let's take a look at what this was showing at 12Z. See what I mean? There's that low pressure system. It's a little further north, brings some rain. So an earlier model run showed the low pressure system a little higher, had most of us seeing rain. And then there still could be a possibility, I do want to mention here, that there could still be a possibility that you may see that cold air, because that cold air basically just stays further north, just misses northern Arkansas, or misses Arkansas, but it could fall back in on the backside of this low pressure system. And if that were to occur and this low pressure system is further north, you may have a chance at some winter weather. But I do want to mention, hopefully this GFS model, this 18Z, is a one-hit wonder, and we don't see the other models start to cave to this. The reason being, that wouldn't have us seeing snow. That would have us more of a freezing rain issue. Now, once again, this is still 6 days out. Things are going to change. What I'm getting across right now is the track of the low is going to depend really on what we see. And I want to get that across. We're going to do many more live streams before we even get to Sunday. But you see, this has this further south. Now, if that low pressure system goes further south, once again, that puts us a little more on the colder side of things. And as you see here, you can see what we're meaning. There could be some some moisture back around the backside of the low, and you may see that cold air just reach it in time to maybe have a quick switch over, depending on what happens there as well. But once again, you look a little further back on this model. Give me 1 second here, and this shows that low pressure system's further north. Most of us see rainfall. So one thing to mention with this is, we're going to take a look at the European model. This 18Z model doesn't go all the way to the future, all the way through that time frame, but it does get close. Shows pretty much the same thing throughout this week. Not expecting a whole lot, just dry conditions throughout this week, but a big switch is coming as we go into that Sunday time frame, Monday time frame. Colder air will start to arrive, but you'll see here, this shows that low pressure system maybe just a little further south, but where that cold air sets up at, can it get here? Usually in Arkansas, when you have your bigger snow, bigger winter weather events, is when you have that cold air in place. Not saying that we don't see snow or winter weather without that cold air being in place already. It's just you don't get a lot of your bigger events like that. And if you look at this low pressure system early on shows most of us seeing rain. It goes just a little further north. That puts us more in the rain. But if you look back here near the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle, you see that there is a little bit of maybe some colder air is what the model is wanting to show up on, bringing maybe some of that cold air back around. Now, if we look at this on the 12Z model and the 12Z run of this model, which was this morning, you'll see that it brings that low pressure system further north and really keeps us just seeing rain, and then brings that cold air in behind it. And later on we may have to watch through that seventh time frame as well. But here's the thing. That's the thing right now. That low pressure system is going to determine what we see. We see this happen often during winter. The track of the low is going to depend on what we really see. If it goes further south, that puts a lot more of us on the colder side. Maybe some winter weather with that. If it goes further north, then if that track goes further north, we see a lot more rain, just regular rain out of that. Now, real quickly, I do want to show you the ensembles. What the ensembles are, as always, is basically it's really good, helpful piece to get a general idea and get signals for the long-term period. What ensembles do is basically take one model and produce a bunch of different scenarios and gets the average or the mean out of this. What you're seeing here is the temperature anomaly. What this is, and I want to explain this a little more because we had some people thought that this was the actual temperature. This is not. This is your below average or below or above average temperature. And what you see down here is this orange color down here is showing above average temperatures. How many degrees above average could temperatures be? And really, this is what we've been seeing this week. You see, we've been seeing temperatures near 70, 60 to 65 degrees, and our average for this time of year is around 50 degrees here across Arkansas. Now, once again, this is the European ensemble, and when we go forward here, I want you to see what we're getting at. We're gonna probably see if this is correct. We're gonna see here's that first and second time frame. Maybe a little cooler air near 50, 40 degree, or in between that 40, 50 degree time frame. But look up here further north. We start to see that cold air make its way further south, and this 18Z only goes out to 144 hours. But you see by this weekend, we start to see that cold air make its way down here. Sunday, you can see it's a little further south, but if we back this up to the 12Z, you'll see here what we're meaning. As we go into Sunday, there'll be a shot of colder air, and you can see below average temperatures. That's 40s, maybe even into the 30s by that time frame on Monday. And then you can really see by Monday you're looking at temperatures below average in that 40s, 30s time frame for maybe even highs during that time frame, not counting wind chill and all that. As we get closer, we'll bring up wind chill just a little more, but just know it could be windy as well with this, and that could, with cooler air, doesn't take much wind to make it even colder outside. But as you see here, we go forward, there's another shot of cold air, and this is around that 7th to the 10th time frame, and you can see there's another shot of cold air there, and then it just sticks around throughout that time frame there as well. But one thing I do want to mention for that 7th and through the 7th and 10th time frame, we may have that cold air in place, like the National Weather Service has mentioned, for that chance of maybe some winter weather during that time frame. We'll have to monitor it and see what happens. Now's basically the time to sit back and watch and get the signals, get the general idea on what could happen as we get closer. That's the European ensemble. The GFS shows something pretty similar. If we put this in motion here, this goes from the 18Z time frame. And as we really move forward, you'll see here that this continues that trend. Cold shot there, potentially that Saturday time frame. But really, well, if I can get this to load and not skip forward, but really showing that colder air there into the Monday time frame. And then there's that colder air by the 8th of, really next week. And then it shows that basically sticking around for a bit and continues to keep that colder air there throughout this time frame. So the first, or really the mid half of January, could be on the colder side. Now, we'll have to continue to watch this, as we mentioned, to get really, as we get closer, we'll get the more in-depth, forecast numbers, like what exactly could the temperature be, all of this stuff. Just know conditions right now and the way the pattern looks, below average temperatures look like a good possibility as we head into the second week of January, and I would say really starting the first week of January, really kicking into gear the second week of January. and just continuing there as well with that. Now, there's going to be a lot to watch. There's going to be a lot to continue to keep an eye on. We're watching Sunday closely. As we mentioned, you're going to hear me say this. I'm going to sound like a broken record by the time we get to Sunday. Like Kevin said, based on experience, went 40 degrees for highs with several days below for several days, I think, below average for highs during that time frame as well. So once again, one thing to mention is you're talking colder air that could, for a lot of people, 40 degrees and below for highs is what Kevin was getting at there as well. And once again, I do want to say thanks to all of our team. They helped us with these graphics that you've seen us produce earlier, to start off the live stream. And we'll continue to keep you updated with the newest on this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll get to them. But once again, just remember, we're going to be watching Sunday closely because once again, the track of the low is gonna really depend on what we see moving forward with that. I want to get that across because one model run may show one thing, as we just seen with the 18Z GFS. We'll have to continue to watch this model and see what occurs with that when we look at the 18Z, because if this trends, which when we say trend means continue to show this general idea, we may see or have a better chance for winter weather. But this could easily be a one-hit wonder, basically, where this is the only model run that shows this. The next model or the next run of this model that comes out could bring that low pressure system a little further north. So right now, there's still some details we got to iron out. That track of that low pressure system for Sunday is going to be really dependent on what type of precipitation we see. And really after that, we get more into that colder period there as well. And once again, just make sure you're ready and make sure you have your any outdoor animals prepared for that as well, and make sure you have your pipes ready just in case, and just in general, just what you would usually do for winter, and get ready for that as always. Right now, I don't see any questions or any comments so far. So I think right now that's going to bring us towards the end of this live stream. Once again, we're going to continue to watch this closely. As always, I want to say big thanks to Palmer's Roofing, J&S Auto Supply, Terry's Place, Fort Smith Therapy, and Tan Energy and Nutrition. Make sure to check them out over on Facebook. Make sure to check us out on YouTube as well. And hello to all of our new followers as well. I know we have a bunch of new followers there as well. But as always, don't see any questions at this time. If once this live stream ends, you'll be able to rewatch this as a video and go back through it. Basically, the main thing to take away is colder air. It looks to be on the way. Could we have some winter weather potential throughout that time frame? The National Weather Service thinks so as well. Now, once again, this is an experimental graphic, so what this means is that, hey, they're watching for that potential. It's a slight risk for the potential. Basically, forecast risk level is the forecast probability. You can see that in the bottom corner down here. That goes pretty much for 20 to 40% in that slight risk. So there's some probability there that we could be watching for some winter weather potentially through the 7th and 10th of January. It's still early though. We'll continue to iron out the details. And once again, on Sunday, track of the low is going to really depend on what type of precipitation we see. This won't be our only live stream. Before then, we're going to continue to keep you updated with the newest. As always, make sure to follow the Facebook page. Be on the lookout this here in a few, probably about an hour or so. We're going to have the 6-day forecast out for the next 6 days as well. But once again, I think that's going to bring us to the end of this live stream for tonight. As always, have a good rest of your Monday, and make sure to check us out over on Facebook and YouTube. As always, have a good rest of your Monday, and see you guys back here for another video vlog on YouTube tomorrow, and see you on the Facebook page here shortly. We'll probably do these live streams depending on what any new changes. We may do these every other day leading up to the event, or as we get closer, we'll start to do these more frequently if we have any changes. But as always, have a good rest of your Monday, and thank you guys very much for trusting us right here with your source for all things Southwest Arkansas weather.